Going on, guys? DTOM Freedom Talks. So I just did a video basically kind of letting everybody know my stance and what I think about the COVID-19 debacle. That's what it was called. And I planned on doing more videos on that subject, kind of just in more detail. But tonight is August 9th. Right now it is around about 9:40. And the President of the United States just got on national television letting everybody know that essentially an executive order will be passed to the Department of Labor that any company that has 100 employees or more are going to be forced to get vaccinated. So if you watch that first video, you know that my whole thing is freedom, right? If you feel the vaccination is best for you, get the vaccination. I'm for everybody getting the vaccination who wants to get the vaccination, who wants to wear a mask, who wants to do all those things. It's your right to do whatever you want to do. However, it is also the right of every American to make that choice for themselves. This is tyranny in its pure form, guys. It is absolute atrocity that this man got on national television and said this. It's bad enough already. It's bad enough for forcing other people, medical personnel and federal employees or military, to do something that they may not want to do or may not feel that they need to, because data is in that natural immunity is actually more potent than the vaccination immunity. And the vaccination doesn't keep you from getting COVID. the data is in on that as well. Now, there's some data that shows that you will be less symptomatic with that, but the numbers that, even tonight, he said that only a quarter of the population is unvaccinated. So we have 3/4 of the population that is vaccinated, and then we also have natural immunity on top of that. Deaths are down, cases are up, but we're still starting to see a little bit of a plateau in some areas. This is what I was talking about in that original video. They use safety as a means to push these things through. This is for your safety. When in reality, it is, if you want to keep your job, you must comply. If you want to keep your livelihood, you must do what I say. That's what this is really about. That's what this has been about from the beginning. COVID is real. You know, I've said that. People get sick and people have died. But the hysteria that has been around COVID and the fear that people have due to the liars in our administration, the CDC and the FDA, which recently documents were released, emails were released for Fauci, lied to Congress about the whole gain of function. So we knew that to begin with. Now we have proof that he had his own agenda, keeping himself out of hot water about that, and then trying to control everybody by this push of eradicated fear. This country was not founded by fearful men. And granted, like I've said, if you are a high-risk person, I think you should get vaccinated if you're high risk. The fact of the matter is, though, if you are under a certain age, or over a certain age, that should be a thing. Your risk versus benefit, right? You should probably get vaccinated. But the risk of people actually dying from COVID, in the whole country, is still a very, very low number. You see it all over the news. This many cases, and we have this many people in the hospital. That making people so fearful of this thing that in my opinion, we shouldn't be. It's a real thing, and everybody needs to take precautions that they feel they need to. But to force vaccinations on Americans in this way, through these kinds of orders, is the definition of tyranny. And ladies and gentlemen, the only way to combat this is to not comply. We can't give in. Now, here's the problem. For this amount of people, because this, for any company over 100 employees being forced to do this, if it goes through, right? When you let fear dictate your life, you don't live. And whenever I say that, I was like, well, that's just ridiculous. This is a real thing. People are really dying. Yes, they are. But not in the grand scheme that you have more chances of getting into a wreck on your way to work or school but then you do of dying of COVID, guys. I mean, it's just a fact. And of course, in this speech, he also talked about vaccination for not just the employees that are employers that have 100 or more, but every single healthcare worker. No matter what you do, if you're a healthcare worker, you have to get it. Pressuring football, huge Alabama football fan here, pressuring our colleges to do that, to basically show vaccinated or a negative COVID test to go to a football game. The patriots of this country won't stand for it. But here's my prediction. My prediction is that even if people have my mindset and don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason, this is coercion. They are forcing you to choose livelihood over your principles. And I believe that a lot of Americans will comply because they don't want to lose their livelihood. And I get that. I really do. But guys, gals, we have to stand up and fight back. And the way we do that is we don't comply. I will not comply. I'm lucky enough to work for a company that is less than 100 employees. But we shall see kind of where this goes, right? Not everybody watches these things. Not even people are just scared to watch the news now, and I get that. I hate watching the news, and hearing Biden talk sometimes is a little mind-numbing. But I'm going to put the link to the video where he was speaking in here, and then I'll share this video because obviously YouTube's not going to let this go anywhere. So if you think people feel the same way and need to hear somebody stand up and say, we need to not comply, stand up for our principles, and fight tyranny. That's what we need to do. This was kind of an off-the-cuff video. I'm so frustrated and angry right now with this whole situation, and every American should. Whenever a president says, you do this or you lose your livelihood, that should scare every single American, no matter what it's about. Guys, freedom is more important than safety. I've said it before, and I will say it continuously. It is that important. If you look at what's happening in Australia, the absolute horror show, which is Australia right now, those people can't fight back. They cannot comply, but there's not much they can do about it. And I'm not saying it's going to get to that point here in America, but we have something called the Second Amendment that still keeps our government in check, even though they are whittling away at that every single day. It is something that keeps them in check and is another very important thing to fight for. There are other bills that are being snuck through right now and talked about to chip away at our Second Amendment rights, and we need to very closely keep an eye on that as well, because without that, this could get like Australia. It really could. If you can't fight back from a police state, from people beating you, and as soon as you step out of your home, being confronted by police officers, that how anybody can't see that this leads to that in its extreme, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I highly, highly hope that everybody who watches this, even if you are vaccinated and you think it's right for you, that there are still people out there that value freedom, and they will still stand up and fight against this, even though they're vaccinated. I hope and pray that that's the truth. I hope and pray that most of these people that work for the companies that this will affect will stand on principle and fight back. Anyways, guys, I don't know if I'll sleep tonight. It's really that bad now. We need to come together, peacefully come together and not comply. But man, he's making it tough. He's making it really tough to not see very horrible things in the future because of this. So, anyways, try to stay safe in this fucking crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.